In this presentation, we'll take a look at more report formatting options within QuickBooks Online. Here we are on our free test drive version for Craig's Design and Landscaping. We're going to go on down to the reports one more time, or once again, probably not the last time at all, but we're going down to the reports again. We're going to be taking a look at that balance sheet report, one of our favorite reports. We're going to go down to the balance sheet report. I'm going to copy the tab as I typically do up top. So I'm going to right click on the tab up top. We're going to duplicate that tab. Right click and duplicate. And that typically would work in this fashion, having the reports on the right, having any kind of information I'm going to input or need to do something other than reports on the left. I'm going to scroll back up top. We're going to change the date range up top from 01/01/19 to 12/31/19. Then we're going to go ahead and run that report. So we'll run that report. And here is our balance sheet. Now we've looked at some of the options that are going to be up top in this like header screen up top, kind of like the ribbon in a QuickBooks or in a Microsoft Office program. And now we're going to go more into the customized reports. Into the customized reports, we looked last time in terms of the header and footer options. Now we're just going to take a look at some of the other options up top. Now many of the options in the customized report will basically duplicate those items that they pulled out and put into basically the ribbon screen up top. So we'll just note those, and then we're going to take a look at some of the items that aren't in the ribbon screen. So we have the date information, of course, is in the ribbon screen. You saw this cash and accrual method was over in this screen as well. What we have here now is if we want to divide by 1,000. So this would be a way for us to basically simplify the report. If you had a lot of numbers on the report, in other words, like large numbers, or if you just want to have less space being taken up in a simplified report, you want to round the report in essence, we could take it and divide everything by 1,000, and that means everything would be in thousands, right? We would divide by 1,000, everything would then be in thousands, a rounded type of report, which may be less overwhelming if we were to give it to someone else. We're saying, hey, we're only looking at the relevant data. Everything is basically in thousands here. We're rounding everything to thousands. So to do that, we would go to the customized report, and I would divide by 1,000. Then we're going to say run that report, and you'll see that looks good, except it looks kind of funny that we divided it by 1,000 and we still have the pennies. We still have cents in it, right? So if you divide it by 1,000, then you probably want to remove the cents as well, because that's really not relevant considering the fact that now we're talking about thousands and you have the pennies on it. So we're going to now remove the cents. So not that the report doesn't make sense anymore with the cents as in the pennies. So we're going to then go up top and say, let's customize the report again. And we're going to say the report is without cents. Without cents. It has no pennies. So we're going to say run that report. And now we're in thousands and we've removed the pennies in it. Okay, so that's another format we can have. We're going to go back up top and say customize report. The other thing we could do is say, how do we want to see negative numbers? The default is just to have a negative sign, but that negative sign's a little small, and often people that work in accounting will typically put brackets around negative numbers. A little bit easier to see. Depending on your location, you may prefer to see the negative number on the right side. That's more of a location, like cultural type thing, or whatever. So, but I think the ones that are easiest to see are the brackets. So if I say bracket the negative numbers, then I can go down and the brackets just kind of stand out to me, just like this 9 here, 9,000 rounded. All right. And then if I go back up top, we can make it stand out even more by saying I want to customize reports, make the negative numbers bracketed, and show them as red. So it's going to look kind of like that in the example. We're going to run that report and see what that does. Scrolling back down, and now we've got that red number 9. Red number 9. All right, I'm going to scroll back up, and it probably would have been nicer if I'm going to close this hamburger over here and make this a little bit larger so you could see the red number 9. But the point is now it's red, so you don't even need it very large because it's been reddened. So we're going to go back up top, and then we can customize the report. And so we've looked at the general items down here. Then we have the, I'm going to close these for now. We've got the columns and rows. Within the columns and rows, we've seen most of these in the toolbar to the left. And then we have the period, we had the previous period and the previous year. Again, we considered those with the toolbar to the left. And if I scroll down, then we have the filter options. Now these could be useful when you're doing more customization to a particular report. They're not, something that we're going to use typically in the balance sheet type report. We might go into the customization a bit later But you have customized by the customers, and then you can basically filter by customers. Vendors, again, we could filter by vendors. Those filters would make a lot more sense typically, or be used more often, if we were running reports that were related to, say, accounts receivable or accounts payable for the customer and vendor filters respectively. And then we can have the filters by product or service. And again, if we were running reports that are giving more detail to something like the sales or revenue items, then these filters become something that we could use within those types of reports. And we'll take a look at some of those once we get to the more detailed types of reports in future presentations. We already took a look at the headers and footers in prior presentations. So those are going to be an overview of the formatting options within the QuickBooks Online. Also note that, of course, if you want to customize things more, then you can export the reports to Excel and then do more customization there. You can also basically save these reports as well. So once you do the customization, you may want to then save the report so that you can go back into it and don't have to redo the customization. That way you can basically easily put into place some bit of customization, which can make you stand apart from other people or provide something that certain customers may like, and not have to redo it or memorize what you did every time, right? You could save the report, especially if you have something like having a comparative balance sheet report, or on the income statement or the profit and loss report, if you would prefer to call it an income statement or something like that. Those type of changes are changes that if you memorize the report, they will always be there, and you can add a bit of customization to your report in that way.